You ever wake up one morning and realize you're in a suburban war zone? Yeah, that was me. Except my battlefield was a two-car garage. My enemy was an HOA president named Karen with a smile like a paper cut, and the only weapons I had were a bucket of blue dye and a wife smarter than the NSA. But let me back up a second. This all started with a key. Not just any key, a stolen key to my own damn house. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. That's what Karen told me when I caught her snooping around our yard for the third time that week. She had no idea I'd just rigged my front door to turn her into Papa Smurf on 4K camera. But before we get to that mess, let me set the scene. Tell me where you're watching from. Because if you've never sat through a Hilton County HOA meeting, you're lucky. The clubhouse always smelled like burned coffee and lost hope. Beige walls, no windows chairs that sounded like groaning dinosaurs. My wife Sam and I didn't want to be there, nobody ever does, but if you skip too many next thing, you know there's a bylaw about Christmas inflatables and you're suddenly a criminal for having taste. That night, though, the vibe was off. You could feel the tension in the air. People weren't arguing about grass height, they were watching Karen. She stood up at the podium, her hair shellacked into a helmet, that weird smile that never reached her eyes. She tapped the mic. "We're here for community safety and property value preservation," she said, dripping fake honey. I whispered to Sam, "Here comes the beautification Gestapo." She smirked, not looking up from her phone, probably checking the security feeds at home. Karen held up a clipboard like it was the 10 Commandments. Bylaw 7C routine garage integrity checks. Compliance isn't optional. My neighbor Dave, a big guy soft as pudding, raised his hand. "What does that mean, Karen?" She grinned like a shark. "Quarterly inspections of all garages by a certified board member. No clutter, no unapproved modifications, no secret businesses." My blood pressure ticked up. I could feel my mouth getting ready to write a check my brain couldn't cash. This wasn't about safety, it was about power, Karen's power. I stood up big as a linebacker, and the metal chair nearly collapsed under me. "You want access to my garage?" The answer is no. Karen's smile got tighter. "If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear." God, that line. I dropped my voice. Sam calls it my "don't start with me" tone. I'm not afraid, Karen. I'm just not letting you snoop through my life. My garage isn't part of your little kingdom. The vote passed. Of course, her cronies voted yes. Everyone else stared at their shoes. We left with Karen's smirk burning a hole in my back. "You really did it this time," Sam whispered, squeezing my hand. "We beefed up our network security that night. Still, you could feel it. Something bad was coming. Then it started. Packages disappeared. The paper was tossed into the bushes. Karen's white SUV kept rolling past our house again and again. Sam, being the tech wizard she is, pulled up our camera feeds. Sure enough, Karen was circling sometimes, just sitting down the street for 20 minutes at a stretch. One afternoon, the footage caught a stranger staring at our gas meter, too interested, too casual. Suddenly, I remembered after the new HVAC install, the contractors left a lockbox with a spare key. I sprinted outside. The lockbox was there, but empty with fresh pry marks. I was sick to my stomach. Someone had the key to my house. Sam checked the smart lock logs, failed entry at 2:14 p.m. They'd tried, but the copy didn't work. Yet. Now, this wasn't just petty HOA harassment, this was war. We changed the locks, filed a police report, but I wasn't satisfied. Sam and I needed to catch her in the act, expose her for good. We weren't just going to stop her, we were going to humiliate her. Enter the trap. I rigged a bucket of cobalt blue industrial dye above the front door, connected to a near-invisible fishing line. When the door opened, the pin would pull, and splash. Sam upgraded the cameras, one visible one hidden in a fake sprinkler. We posted a giant no trespassing sign and filed every warning with the police. The house was bait. Every night we'd check the wire. For 3 days, nothing. Then midweek, Sam pinged me showtime. On the porch, Karen, dressed in white, smug as a cat. She slid the key and twisted, stepped inside, and wham! Blue dye rained down, covering her from hair to heels, soaking her clipboard, her pride, and her perfect pantsuit. Our hidden camera caught her face, shock, rage, pure comic gold. Neighbor Nate nearly dropped his watering can watching. Karen shrieked, saw the camera light on, and realized she'd just been caught on tape. She stormed off, blue footprints marking her walk of shame. The video went viral in our neighborhood overnight. HOA president gets a case of the blues. But the war was just beginning. The next day we got slapped with over $2,000 in HOA fines for altering exterior paint and harassment of a board member. Days later, our power got cut in the middle of the night. Someone impersonated the property manager to the utility company. Next night, our Wi-Fi went out, a military-grade jammer hidden in the bushes. Then, around 1 a.m., a giant named Gus with handyman services on his jacket tried to barge in for a porch inspection. He barely left with his dignity. Sam racked the shotgun, and Gus turned to Jell-O. Now enough was enough. We needed to turn the tables. Sam upgraded the cameras to 4G mesh network battery backup. Nothing would take us offline again. We planted a decoy safe in the garage, complete with GPS tracker. Gossip-loving Nate helped the rumor spread John's hiding valuables from the HOA. Sure enough, Friday night Gus broke in, stole the safe, and rushed to a pawn shop. We tracked it, got the evidence, and even found Karen's dye-stained planner in her hand in a Facebook post from days later. We went door to door gathering stories. Mrs. Gable, who paid Gus $3,000 for a bogus attic inspection. A couple fined $1,000 for a tricycle. 6 notarized statements later, we had a dossier, video trackers, witnesses, patterns of abuse. We called for a recall under Article 9, the Dusty Emergency Bylaw. 40 signatures needed, 62 handed in. The night of the emergency meeting, the room was packed. I stood up, laid out the evidence, called on Mrs. Gable to speak. Karen tried to shout me down, but the room was done being afraid. Someone yelled, "Shame the damn broke." Karen, panicking, signaled Gus to throw me out. Nate, bless him, tripped Gus with his cane, and chaos exploded. Recall scheduled at the block party 10 days out. Karen promised revenge. Her threat hung in the air like a thunderhead. The day of the vote, we were ready. 4 houses, 4 porches each, rigged with a giant bucket of blue dye and a remote trigger. Sam live-streamed the event, every angle, even a drone overhead. At 2 p.m., Karen and her goons reached the voting table, and I hit the big red button. 20 gallons of cobalt blue dye soaked them head to toe. The crowd roared. The police rolled in. Detective Miller had warrants in hand thanks to the evidence we'd given him. They cuffed Karen in front of everyone. The recall vote was nearly unanimous. I was put on the new board. First motion: wipe out every fine, refund every dollar. The cheer nearly lifted the roof. Months later, Karen took a plea. Gus rolled on her. Her cronies vanished, and the fear was gone. We won. The block party that nearly became a riot brought us together. Nate started a tradition, Blue Garden Gnomes, as a symbol of neighborhood unity. We called them the Gnome Guard. But the last word. One sunset, I pulled the mail and found a cobalt blue smear on the mailbox handle, a single fingerprint, not Karen's, not Gus's. Sam ran the cam footage, zoomed in on the print. It was placed, she said quietly. I looked out at 100 grinning blue gnomes and knew this story wasn't over. So here's my question. Where's the line between fighting back and going too far? And what would you have done if someone like Karen tried to run your life? Drop your story below. Let's see just how wild suburbia can get.